Welcome to the deep dive. We take complex stuff, break it down, and hopefully leave you feeling like you really get it fast.
And today, we're doing something, well, a bit different, definitely unique for us.
Yeah, we've got these sources, and they do this deep astrological dive into a classic prog rock album, Rush's A Farewell to Kings from '77.
Right. Sounds maybe a little out there at first, but the connections are surprisingly, well, specific. So here's the mission for you listening. We're going to unpack the main planetary stuff happening in July 1977, right when they were recording. And the idea is to show how those cosmic forces, the sky back then, actually seem to map onto the album's big themes: science, myth, that kind of idealism.
It's like the argument is the vibe in the cosmos wasn't just background noise. It was almost like a script for writing about falling kings and black holes.
Exactly. A blueprint, maybe. The core idea is that the creative air was just charged by these specific planetary setups. So before we get into, like, Xanadu or the title track, we need to look at the biggest tension in the astrological charts back then. This one alignment really formed the philosophical spine of the whole record. Okay, let's start there. But we got to break down the astrospeak a bit. So the sources point to this huge opposition, Jupiter in Gemini and its opposing Neptune in Sagittarius. What's actually happening there? What does that feel like? Okay, think of it like this axis, right? Gemini on one side, Sagittarius on the other. It's basically intellect versus, let's say, belief or myth.
Intellect versus myth, okay.
Yeah. Gemini, ruled by Mercury. It's about facts, data, communication, how we think, collecting information. It's like the mind's library.
Got it.
Then Sagittarius, way over on the other side, is about higher meaning, philosophy, seeking truth, spirituality, the big quest, the cosmic journey stuff.
So the library builder facing off against a cosmic quester.
Pretty much. Now throw in the planets. Jupiter, the big guy, expands everything. So it was blowing up both sides, the hunger for knowledge and the search for ultimate meaning.
Okay. So intense curiosity and intense seeking.
Right. But then you have Neptune, the planet of mystery, illusion, dreams, and dissolving things. It was sitting there in Sagittarius, sort of blurring the lines between hard facts and, well, faith or fantasy.
Wait, okay. If Neptune dissolves things, why doesn't they just end up with, like, confusing lyrics? Why did this opposition create such specific themes about, science versus myth?
That's a great question, because the sources argue it wasn't just dissolving into mush. It created this intense, let's call it a cosmic questioning of truth.
Oh, questioning.
Yeah. It forced the intellectual side, the Gemini-Jupiter part, to really wrestle with the validity of the spiritual or mythical side, the Sagittarius-Neptune part, and vice versa.
So they're kind of interrogating each other. Science poking at faith. Faith poking back at science. Exactly. You're forced to ask, what's real? What's illusion? What can we truly know? And that specific tension, that's what you hear playing out in Xanadu, the search for perfect knowledge, and definitely in Cygnus X1, the plunge into the ultimate unknown.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense as a framework. So from that big philosophical tension, let's talk about the politics, or maybe the power dynamics, the title itself, A Farewell to Kings. That feels pretty direct.
And our sources connect this straight to another major transit, Saturn moving through Leo that summer. Yeah, this is maybe the most direct connection in the whole analysis. Saturn is all about structure, limits responsibility, authority figures, the establishment.
Rule maker, kind of, yeah. And Leo, that's the royal sign. Kings, queens, monarchy, pride, the spotlight. So Saturn moving through Leo, it literally translates to a reckoning for royalty, a structural challenge to inherited power. It's like the universe sending a memo. Time's up for the kings. Basically, yeah. The transit puts pressure on pride, on inherited status. It says, real authority, whether it's political or even creative, it needs to be earned through hard work, discipline. That's Saturn, not just because you were born into it. That's Leo.
And how does that connect to Rush themselves?
Well, think about where they were. 2112 was a huge success. They were kind of establishing their own creative kingdom, right? So Saturn and Leo was this pressure on them, too, to not just rest on their laurels, maybe, to dismantle old formulas, prove their creative authority was real, earned, build their own sovereignty.
Wow, okay, so it's not just about literal kings falling. It's about the band stepping up and claiming their own, creative crowns based on merit.
That's a great way to put it. But there's another layer the sources point out. This farewell isn't just angry or destructive. There's this idealistic feel to it, right? Like wanting something better.
Yeah, it doesn't feel cynical. Exactly. And that idealism, that comes from another player, Pluto, which was in Libra at the time. Pluto, the planet of transformation, in Libra, the sign of balance and justice.
You got it. Pluto brings deep change, breaks down old structures. Libra wants fairness, harmony, new kinds of relationships. And Pluto in Libra was making these helpful connections. Astrologers call them sextiles and trines, but think harmonious energy back to that main Jupiter-Neptune axis we talked about.
Okay, so Pluto is helping the Jupiter-Neptune questioning find a constructive path.
Sort of. It adds this drive to transform things towards balance and justice. So the kings don't just fall into chaos, they fall because there's this deep urge to create a fairer system. The breakdown serves a purpose.
Ah, okay, so the destruction has this underlying idealistic goal.
Precisely. Pluto in Libra colored that whole era with this intense energy for reform, for finding better ways. It made sure the critique of authority, the Saturn in Leo part, wasn't just negativity, it was aspirational.
So the title track, A Farewell to Kings, it kind of blends the Saturn critique of old structures with this Pluto demand for, like, integrity and fairness in whatever comes next.
Perfectly put. The whole album breathes that desire to build something better, something more just, after the old ways crumble.
Okay, this framework is clicking. Let's apply it to the big epics. We mentioned Xanadu, this huge quest for immortality, Yoto-no knowledge. How does the Jupiter-Neptune thing show up there?
Xanadu is almost the ultimate Jupiter-Neptune story, isn't it? It's the Gemini drive for all the knowledge expanded to infinity by Jupiter,
Right.
but it's aimed at a purely Neptunian mythical goal. Immortality, the fountain of youth, perfect enlightenment. It's the intellectual quest, Gemini-Jupiter, hitting the wall of myth and illusion, Neptune-Sagittarius. The character needs to know, but the goal itself is maybe unknowable or maybe just a dream. The tragedy is in that tension.
The ultimate search, hitting the ultimate mystery, okay, and then Cygnus X1. It feels like the flip side almost, a literal journey into the unknown, into a black hole.
Exactly. If Xanadu is the endless search driven by intellect, Cygnus X1 is the moment of surrender. It's pure Neptunian dissolution.
Is there a solution?
Yeah, letting go of the ego, of the need to know and control. The spaceship, the Rocinante, represents maybe that intellectual vessel, right? And it plunges into the black hole, the ultimate unknown, the ultimate mystery. It's a leap of faith, really. Choosing the cosmic mystery, Neptune Sagittarius, over clinging to known science, Gemini. It doesn't end with answers, it ends with absorption into the mystery.
Wow. Okay, now here's where the sources get, like, really specific and maybe the most interesting part for me. They argue this whole cosmic dialogue didn't just shape the lyrics and concepts. It actually influenced the sound of the album.
Yeah.
The textures, the effects.
Yeah, and for a band like Rush, where the sound, the arrangement is so crucial, this is a key point. Think about how A Farewell to Kings sounds.
Okay, lots of layers. Shimmering guitars, right? The chorus effect.
Yeah.
Acoustic guitars mixed with heavy riffs, synths, the mellotron.
Exactly. And that feeling of space, echo, atmosphere.
Yeah, it sounds huge, like you're floating in space or in some ancient temple.
Right. And the sources argue those specific sonic choices are the Jupiter-Neptune opposition made audible.
How so?
Well, Jupiter and Gemini demand clarity, complexity, intellectual rigor. That's where you get the tricky time signatures, the complex instrumental parts, the precision.
The proggy elements.
Really neat stuff.
Yeah, the intricate structures. But Neptune diffuses things. It adds mystery, atmosphere, blurriness. So those shimmering chorus effects, the delays, the reverb creating that vast space that's Neptune's influence. It's like adding fog or starlight to the clear, logical structures.
Ah, I see. So the really tight, complex playing is the Gemini-Jupiter side. But the atmosphere, the effects that make it sound epic and otherworldly, that's the Neptune-Sagittarius side, blurring the edges, adding the wonder. You've got it. It's logic meeting wonder right there in the sound mix. The clarity of the riffs and rhythms is constantly interacting with, or sometimes fighting against, the diffusion of the effects.
So even choosing a guitar pedal or layering an acoustic part wasn't just musical taste. It was part of expressing this core philosophical tension.
That's the argument, that the music itself had to embody both sides of that cosmic debate, the structured mind and the vast mystery.
Okay, so let's pull this all together. What's the big takeaway from this astrological deep dive? It seems the sources are saying Rush wasn't just, making up cool sci-fi fantasy stories.
Right. It's suggesting they were acting almost like channels, tuning into the really specific philosophical and structural tensions that were just in the air, astrologically speaking, in the summer of '77.
They were conduits for these big transformative cosmic energies.
Yeah, and it makes the album a kind of time capsule, doesn't it? It shows how these really deep cultural shifts, questioning authority, searching for new ideals, wrestling with science and faith, how those shifts can get mirrored and processed through art.
Down to the level of choosing a specific sound effect, even.
Exactly. It gives a potential roadmap for why they made certain creative choices when they did.
It definitely makes you think about musical inspiration differently. So the stars were pushing for this farewell to kings, challenging old authority, but also pushing the artists, Rush in this case, to earn their own authority, their creative crowns.
That's Saturn and Leo lesson, yeah. Responsibility comes with power.
Okay, so final thought for everyone listening. Given this detailed picture of 1977, this wave of idealism, anti-authoritarianism, this push for transformation, what other big influential albums were recorded right around that same time? Could they maybe unintentionally have been tapping into that same cosmic frequency?
That's a good question. What else captured that specific blend of tearing down and building up, that mix of structure and mystery?
Something to think about. Maybe put on some other records from 77 and listen with this framework in mind. See what you hear.